Hi all, Candice from Totem Hair here. So this month's video is all about curling hair because it is Christmas party season, it's New Year soon, so people like to get dressed up, they like to wear their hair a little bit more dressed up as well, and the easiest way of doing that is just to put a little bit of a loose curl in there and maybe a little bit of a hair accessory. One of the things I get asked all the time by clients is how to stop the hair falling out when they curl it. So what's really important if you don't want your curls to drop out is to put quite a lot of product in the hair first. So I would definitely dry quite a lot of mousse into the hair. So if you've got long hair, maybe I would go for sort of 2 small tennis ball sized loads of mousse and just put it in damp hair with your fingers, comb it all the way through, just work it in, scrunch it in, and then just blast dry that in or blow dry it as normal. And then your hair will have that extra hold. And the next product to use as well, if you can, is a little bit of hairspray on the hair before you curl it, and maybe a little bit afterwards as well. And then hopefully with that double product, with the mousse in damp hair, the hairspray in dry hair, that should make a difference to how long your curls are going to last. The other big secret to making your curls, if your hair has a tendency to drop out, is after it's curled, after you take it out of the tongs, if you can and if you have time, is wrap it around your finger and pin it with a clip. So just pop the clip into the base of that ringlet and let that cool. So I've got 4 different types of curling iron here, and I'm just going to go through them all and what type of hair they're useful for, what sort of curls they give you, and how easy they are to use as well. So then you can make your mind up about what might be suitable for you, because it's a Black Friday, it's Christmas coming up, so you might be able to get a bargain. So the first thing I have is my classic tong. So this is by GHD, it's the GHD Curve Classic Tong, Classic Curling Tong. It's about £120, although you can pick up cheaper kind of variations of this tong. There's one by Babyliss Pro, which is 19mm diameter, which is very similar in design to this. So if you're starting out and you just want to pick up something that's quite cost efficient, then maybe try the Babyliss Pro. So this is really kind of a classic tong. So you pick up a section that's about 1 inch by 1 inch, spray it with a little bit of fine hairspray. I'm using the Davines Medium Hold hairspray, which is around £22. Although if I wasn't using that, I would use something like L-net. And open out your tong, open your lever, wrap the hair round the barrel, going away from the face, and then just hold maybe about 1 inch off so that it doesn't quite go down to the bottom, and that saves your fingers as well. If your hair doesn't curl very easily, you might want to just close that lever so that it kind of pushes the hair into the hot barrel. Once it's been there for about a few seconds, test the outside with your finger. If it's quite hot, then let it go and just let it sort of sit there. And as I said, if you are wanting it to be even curlier, you could just keep it and then pin it onto that base. Next thing I'm going to use is an iron. So if the hair doesn't really hold a curl, this can be a good way of doing it. And I think the reason is because when you curl it, you're pushing the plates together, so you're actually pushing the heat really into the hair. The only downside with curling with irons is that it is a little bit of a technique, and you do have to kind of keep your irons moving as well as you move down the hair. Sometimes they can catch and you can kind of end up sort of almost pulling them down the hair, which means that your curl isn't really nice and smooth. So, and I do find some types of hair just seem to catch these and then you don't get that nice smooth curl. So the tong is kind of a fail-safe. These work well. If they work on the hair, then they can work really, really well, but sometimes they don't. So what you want to do is just grab the hair, turn the irons a full circle. So you just have to release a little bit of tension so that the hair can flow through. And now you're just going to pull the irons down the hair, kind of diagonally, and you're going to be feeding the hair through the base of the, through the plaits. So that's going to come out, and then you just let that cool down, so that's right there. And then you can use fingers just to loosen it up afterwards. So that's curling with irons. So you're doing it diagonally on yourself, full turn, and then pulling it down like so. So the next one I'm going to use is the wand. Now this is from Wahl, and this is currently I think £30 for this. So Wahl is a professional brand, but it's not a very expensive one, so this is quite good. This is also quite nice because it has this cone, and it goes from thicker to thinner. So the curls that you get from this are quite natural looking ones. This tends to be quite good for people who have curly hair already, and then they have sort of few maybe curls that are not very tight, and they just want to just tune up their curls a little bit. And it's also quite good if you're in a bit of a hurry, you don't have very much time. It's really, the advantages with this is they are really easy to use because you haven't got to worry about any levers or anything like that. The downside is that you could potentially burn your hand if you're not careful, but also because you're not pushing the hair onto the barrel, sometimes the curls can be a little bit looser. So if you want that really, if your hair has a tendency to drop out, you might find that these don't give you a strong enough curl. So you have to kind of decide what you need, I suppose. But yeah, again, you'd want to just give the hair a little bit of a spray with some hairspray. Take a section of about 1 inch by 1 inch, 2 centimetres by 2 centimetres. Spray with some hairspray. Make sure it's not got any knots in it. And then again, you can hold it down, and this time I'm going to go towards the front. So I want that kind of beachy wave this time. So I would do, with this one, I would do one curl going one way, and then the next curl going the other way. And then that will give it quite a beachy natural look. So I'm holding the hair here. I'm just testing with my finger to see if that feels warm on the outside. If it doesn't feel warm, it hasn't, your curl won't take. And again, I'm leaving around about 1 inch out at the bottom. So then I can let that go and just let that cool down, and then use my fingers to break that up in a few minutes. And then the other one, I can do it the other way. So to just give it that variation in there. So that's the Wahl wand. The final thing I'm going to use is Babyliss Pro Titanium Brilliance. This is also a wand, but it's not conical, so it's going to give you a more of an even curl all the way down. The good thing about this is that it's quite long, so it's really good for long hair because you don't kind of run out of barrel, and it's quite easy to use. It is more like it's probably about 2.5 to 3 centimeters in diameter, and because of that, it's not going to give you much of a tight curl. This is more if you want a wave or hair that's got that, just that bit of movement in there, but not much. So it isn't really, and it's not that great for hair that doesn't really keep a curl in it either. It's for hair that does take a curl, where the person just wants that loose wave. It's very much of a kind of a fashion shoot type thing at the moment. There isn't a lot of curls around in the magazines. It's more just a loose wave. So just hold it round, wrap it round, and hold it there again, just for a few seconds, maybe about 10 seconds, until you feel the hair on the outside is quite warm, and then you can just let that go. and that will drop out, and then when you run your fingers down that will just turn into like a loose wave. Right, so that I think costs around about £45, although I have a feeling they're in the sale in the moment as well. So just to recap, these ones where you don't have any levers are easy to use because you're not fiddling around with the lever. The downside is that they don't really curl as much as the tong or the irons. But for ease of use, and if you don't want that tight curl, these are pretty good. They also give you quite a natural result. This one gives you a natural beachy curl. This one will give you more of a wave, like a fashion forward wave. So these two are the ones that this will give you. This is a sort of great for multi-purpose curls, and this is great for people who have got hair that doesn't curl very easily, although it does require a bit of technique, and there can be problems with glide on this. So just to finish off, oh yeah, the other thing I was going to say is you do need to work in sections. So you need to get used to splitting the top and the bottom of your hair up, off, sectioning off, and then working on the underneath first, and then working up once you've done the underneath. You might even need to do 3 sections depending on how much hair you've got, but definitely 2 sections at least. Don't forget about using the 2 products, ideally, the mousse and then the hairspray, and then you can even finish off with a little bit of hairspray. When you want to loosen it all up, once it's cooled, you just run your fingers through, and there you go. Then you can dress the hair out. So if you're going for a night out, you can potentially think about accessorizing if you're going to a party, and as it's winter, something a bit glittery, something a bit shiny is quite nice. So you can maybe pop one side behind one ear and put in a couple of the clips. I think these are everywhere at this time of year, just to accessorize. And there you go, and then you can leave one side down and take one side back, so you can show off some earrings. I hope this is helpful, and if you have any questions, leave some comments in the box below, and I will be back hopefully soon with another video. Bye.